Hello and welcome to the Sterling Podcast, the podcast that we talk about all things business. So, whether it's exploring ideas or talking to individuals that are making a huge impact within the business community. I'm Julia Williams, for those of you who don't know, and today we're going to be talking about things that are very close to our heart, and that's our health. More specifically, we'll be talking about private healthcare insurance. And today I've got the privilege of having with us Luke Townsend from WPA. Now, I'm going to give you a little fact. WPA is the only private healthcare insurance provider that's recommended by which. So that just tells you the caliber of our guests today. So without further ado, welcome Luke Townsend. How are you?
What a warm welcome, Julia. Thank you so much. That's the best welcome I've ever had. So great start. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you for the invite.
Awesome. Now look, Luke, tell me, you're here to talk about private healthcare insurance. A basic question, but what is it?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, and we do get asked that a lot. Maybe just if I go back a little bit in the history of WPA, a company started in about 1901, 1902. I was just a young man then, but basically, when the company started, it was a provident fund that looked after its community. And that was really the ethos of WPA, was looking after community. So it was back in the days of penny in, penny out. And that's the way that we used to serve that market. So with the advent of the NHS in 1948, I think it was, WPA as a not-for-profit organization had built up this really big fund. And we wanted to be able to support the NHS, we wanted to be able to stand alongside the NHS and assist them with the burden that they were going to be carrying, taking healthcare forward. And the way in which we do that, it's to privatize medical insurance. So it's to give you the option or the choice of choosing where you want to go for your health care. Now, as I say, we're very proud to stand alongside the NHS, and we're familiar with the issues and the challenges that the NHS are currently having, which is not the people are absolutely fantastic. We know that they're hardworking. We know that they're committed to their task at hand. But our job is to try and support or to try and assist. So we know the stats. We know that there's a 7-year waiting list for certain treatments. We know that, for example, one of the things that's really close to me, or something that I find really unfortunate and something that needs to be done, is 600,000 women are waiting for gynecological appointments. The impact that has, as a father of 2 daughters, of a husband, I just think that often women's health is really underserved. And when I hear stats like that, 600,000 people on a waiting list waiting for really what should be a basic right, that's what private medical insurance comes in to solve that gap, to give you the best cover when you need it on your choice, because you shouldn't be waiting. That's my view. That's the way that we look at it at WPA. We don't want you waiting, and we want to make sure you get the best cover. So what private medical insurance is really just giving you the choice and the option to choose where you want to go, the time you want to go, and the care that you get. And for us, that's really what drives us. And that's why we are which recommended, because that is the ethos of what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're looking after people and giving them the broadest choice and the best options for their healthcare.
You know what? I think, I totally agree with everything that you're saying. And I think it is a question of choice. So you're not saying that you should move away from the NHS. This is really just to complement what's already there then.
Absolutely. Yeah, Julia, we even have, if you were to select, because there's some fantastic NHS facilities, within our policy, if you select to go to one of those facilities and have your treatment done, you get cash back within your private medical insurance policy. So if you've elected to go that route, and that's the beauty of when I talk about choice, really, it is just opening up that freedom and saying, if I'm going to go there, so I'm not using my policy, so what do? We give you cash back for it. And the cash back could be £150 a night, up to £200 a night, depending on how long that you've got that treatment for. It really just does empower you as the individual to have all of these options at your disposal and choose what's best for you and decide what route you want to go.
It's not often you get money back either, is it?
Well, we're very proud to say, over COVID, WPA were the first private medical insurer to repay funds. And that's just, again, the reason why we've got such a good Trustpilot score, the reason why we which recommend it, we put our people first, and we are a people-based organization. And that's what drove
And
me
that
to it.
that really stands out, actually, listening to you and the passion that you're with, conviction that you're speaking with at the moment. That really does stand out. Now I know that probably, well, actually, I'm just going to ask the question. If you compare you to other healthcare providers, then what are, the benefits or the offers compared to other providers out there then?
Yeah, I think if it ever came down to choice, my choice would be have private medical care with whomever you need to have it with. That is key. Make sure that you've got that cover. Why I personally prefer WPA is I love the fact that we're not for profit. I love the fact that we which recommended, which means that the marketplace is telling us we do the right thing for our clients. But I think the biggest difference is people on the ground, our healthcare partners. The way in which WPA operates is we have healthcare partners such as myself, such as Graham Ross, who you've met in our area, Glenn McCulloch. We are community-based folks. We live inside the community, we work inside the community, and we service our community. And that's what it really is all about. That's why our service levels are as good as they are. And that's not only just coming from the likes of Graham, Glenn, and myself. Even if you contact head office, if we don't answer your phone call in 2.5 minutes, we've got a problem. And I know a lot of our competitors struggle to do that. And we only grow because, again, going back to the not-for-profit status, we only grow within our ability to maintain that service level. So if we start drifting out to like crazy minute, like 3.5 minutes to answer a phone call, we're going to get more people into those desks. And that for us is key. And again, that speaks to the which recommendation. It's because we're putting the client first, because we're wanting to service our folks in the best possible way. And that's really actually what drew me to WPA as well, is that we community-centric, community service orientated. We know the people we're selling to. We understand the people, and we give the best advice based on the things that they want. We're not just a website where you'd go to buy something. You actually get a face to it. You get a personality. You get a person that's rooting for you, whether that be within our healthcare partner practice or from a head office perspective.
And in this day and age, that is so important, because I don't know about you, I get so frustrated when I just want to speak to somebody. I just want to speak to somebody. So the fact that you're saying that, makes you feel all warm and tingly inside, to be honest with you, because it's such a frustration these days. And particularly when you need support. There's nothing worse than, calling and you just can't get through. So that is amazing. And 2.5 minutes, did you say?
Absolutely. It's 2.5 minutes to answer the call, whether it's a claim, whether it's advice that you need. And obviously, if you phone Glenn, it's a lot shorter. So I always recommend you phone Glenn first.
But I think, just talking to you, the real key things that stand out for me is, the fact that you've got choice, you know, the fact that, it's not for profit. Again, the fact that you're there to give advice, and you actually get to speak to a human being. Those
Yeah.
are all great positives that you can possibly have.
Well, to add
But
to that, though, Julia, if I may, just what we've done within our organization, which is TR Health as the authorized representatives for
yeah,
WPA, is we've taken Graham and we said, Graham is somebody that's run his small business for 27 years within Worcester. And he knows what small business people feel. He knows the pain, he knows the anxiety, he knows all of those things. So we said, Graham, you look after small business. So he takes that whole task on. So any small business, Graham specializes in make sure he understands their area, and there's somebody you can talk to that you can understand. From a family perspective, we've got Glenn, who is our head of family and personal health
oh,
care,
right.
and he focuses on that. He spends his whole day just making sure he's looking after families. He knows the products inside out. He's our absolute guru, and he's a legend. He's a lovely guy. So is Graham. But don't tell him I said that. And he works really, really hard at making sure that he's looking after those families and giving them the best advice. And then on my side, I kind of look after the bigger business, and that was just because I got the bigger mouth. So they suggested that I do.
No comment. So, so look, what I'm keen to know is, I've got healthcare insurance in place now. what is the process if I am going to go through WPA? Is it long and complicated? Just, give me a rundown, because that's the key thing, I think, for me, which I'd want to
Mm.
find out.
Julia, again, when you were talking about earlier about the service levels and speaking, if when you're not feeling your best, you mentioned it, when you want to just speak to someone, you want to feel better, you want to get your claim on the go. Again, if you are to contact head office, 2.5 minutes, you're going to have your call answered or guidance given as to where you need to be. And the guidance is really good. But we've also got a really good app, and the app has won a lot of technology awards as well. So if you, for example, I get my glasses on WPA, if I pop in and I get my glasses on, absolutely. So if I pop in and get my prescription done, my test, my glasses, prescription, everything's done. I receive a receipt of having made payment. I take a photograph, I submit it through the app, and 4 days later, money pops back into my account.
No way. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I want to know then. So give me a rundown of the sorts of things that's covered then, actually.
So
Could you?
it's a great
I didn't know
question,
you
because
could do
when we
that.
look about private medical insurance and we think about all these big things, we think about cancer and we think about knee replacements and joint replacements and all these big things, and it absolutely does that. It covers you and makes sure that it looks after all of those areas. But there's also the daily stuff, and this is often what gets left out in the conversation with private medical insurance, is that there's glasses, optometry, dentistry. I mean, one of the biggest things that we have is folks that battle to find an NHS dentist because everyone's gone private. So it's such an issue. Things like audiology, health screening. A lot of us don't go and get a health screen because we have to pay £200-300, and we think, MOT for the body. We'll do it for the car, mind, because somebody tells us we have to do it for the car, but we don't do it for ourselves. But now there's an allocation there of monies that you're actually contributing towards, so you can get your body MOT done. You can go get your personal MOT done. And all of those things are everyday things that you can use, whether it be physiotherapy. We've got a fantastic physiotherapy pathway program. If you're on private medical insurance, that just gives you 5 free sessions. So if you have a little niggle or something pops on, get it sorted out. And often we don't get those things sorted out. We don't look at those things because we think, I have to budget for it, or I have to plan for it, or I have to do all of these things. So what we're really trying to do is bring healthcare and health into the family from a day-to-day perspective of thinking, yes, I can get glasses, I can get my eyes tested, I can get audiology stuff, I can go and get an MOT for my body to make sure that I'm in good shape. All of these things, and that's what drives us being a healthier community. And we're very keen to have all that in place. So yes, the big ticket items, all of those things are covered, but it's also your daily things that you're going to need that maybe sometimes you're not doing because you think, I'll save a buck or two, Christmas is around the corner. Don't do that. Look after yourself. And there's all of these daily things that you can also have access to.
When you just said physiotherapy, so you don't just cover the individual, you cover the whole family, kids as well.
Yes. Yes. So that's obviously selected by the individual. So typically, if you were a family, you're going to speak to, as I said, Glenn. Awesome, awesome guy. Glenn is going to come into a session with you and he's going to say, okay, here's the family. This is who the family are. Let me build you a policy. But you build it. He just advises you. So he actually takes you through the whole process. The whole thing is transparent. You can see all the costs, all the different benefits, all the limits, and he's going to explain to you exactly what each of those are. And at the end of the day, you build exactly what it is that you need for you and your family. So if it's, we want to focus on this area because kids do a lot of physio, or they're very active and they're very sports orientated, or we've got somebody who's going to be doing A levels, and we just know mental health is such a challenge these days. We want to really focus around that area and look after those things. You build it exactly the way you want for your family. So none of our policies are ever the same. If you do a Julia Williams policy, it's the Julia Williams family policy.
Got
That's
to help
it.
everyone.
Exactly.
I love that. I've got 2 very sporty boys and they're constantly get injured. So when you said that, I thought, when they play rugby and stuff. So I will be coming to speak to you sooner
We
than
clean up
later.
at rugby clubs, I must say. We walk around the rugby club saying private medical, everyone's there. Okay, yes, we'll need.
Definitely, definitely. So look, what are the risks then if you basically don't have private healthcare insurance? Financial, any other risks? What are they?
There's a couple of different risks, and the one that I always talk the most to is just the emotional risk, the mental health, the mental well-being of the individual. When you don't get the cover, or we don't get the outcome that you're looking for, you've got this challenge, you've got this issue, this niggling problem, and you just can't get it dealt with. It is so frustrating, and mental health just deteriorates because you've A, got the pain, you've B, got no plan as to how this is going to be solved, and it just impacts everything within your life. And I often, as I said, I'm so passionate about women's health, but I go back to women's health and saying, you know, you need to be able to get the right treatment, the right care when you need it, because there are so many different things that can distract you. And a woman typically works a lot harder than a man, puts in a lot more effort. I'm saying it right here. I'm saying it out loud. You've got so many more challenges. And really, if we can look after those folks, give them the best, possible care that's available, that just mentally, it's so important. But then there are also the financial implications. We've had folks that run smaller businesses, 1 or 2 man operations, where the owner of the business has suddenly run into serious trouble and it's closed the business because they don't, they might be waiting for 6 months for this to happen or 6 months for that to happen. A business doesn't have 6 months. And I always say to folks, if you closed your business tomorrow for 2 months, or you weren't fully available within your business for the next 2 months, what would happen to you? So again, if you were with private medical insurance, you could get that quick diagnosis, you could understand what the plan is, you could fast track that treatment. And for us, that's a privilege. That's also why we love looking after business owners. Business owners are a special group for us because Graham's a business owner, I'm a business owner, Glenn's a business owner. We've all grown up in that kind of environment. And we know the risks that those folks take, and we know the challenges that they face. And for us, it's an absolute privilege to be able to make sure that they've got the best choice when it comes to their healthcare.
I think as well, sometimes you think, oh, it's never going to happen to me until it does, and then it's too late. And actually, you just brought it home to us, the fact that, a business doesn't have time to wait. And if you've got a small business and that business is relying on you and you're not available, you know, you could have dire consequences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any stories that perhaps you could share? Not too much of a horror story, but things that have happened as a result of either not having private healthcare insurance or a feel good factor where there is healthcare insurance and you managed to help the person.
Yeah, I love what I do, and our team loves it. Graham and Glenn love what we do. But every now and then, it really hits home the importance of what it is that we offer, and it becomes a very serious thing because we do love to have a good time and spend time with our clients and all of those things. But every now and then, it really does hit home. And one of I got a call last year from a client of ours that had recently signed up to private medical insurance, and he phoned me in absolute tears. He had serious brain issue. It was so traumatic for him. He was like, Luke, what do I do now? And obviously, after we got over the initial shock, it was, okay, so this is what you've got your private, because he actually said to me, does private medical insurance cover this? So it's so interesting that often when you get to that point, you're so stuck and you're so concerned. I mean, he's got young kids and amazing children that are doing fantastic things. Also a business owner, wife in the business. It was just, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So he phoned me. I said, first thing, the good news is you've got cover. Okay, so let's see how we get that cover to work for you. So that was about sort of 8-9 months ago. I spoke to him yesterday because he's back at work, having dealt with his traumatic brain issue that he had. He's back at work. The kids are happy. The business is in good shape. He was so chuffed to be, just back, and he's only working 3 days a week, but he's decided that's what he wants to do, going forward, because it's just that's the kind of stage he was at. But the protections that he had in place, not just from private medical insurance, but some of the other protections that he had taken out, also just served him so well, and they made the whole process a lot more manageable. And at the end of the day, he went from, what am I going to do now, to saying, okay, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but I was in the right hands. I always had the right care. And I felt at the end of the day that I came out with the best possible outcome. And for us, that's just absolutely beautiful to hear.
And thank goodness he had it. Can you imagine what would have happened if he didn't have that? It could have had dire consequences, really. So that is proof as why you've got to think, because, you never know what's around the corner. And if you
Yeah.
haven't got your health, what have you got, really?
What have you got?
So
Absolutely.
What are the most, I suppose, underrated benefits of having private healthcare insurance?
For me, it's those those cash options that we were talking about earlier, because a lot of folks don't realize that they can actually claim on those things. Getting new glasses. I like to be fairly active, so I'm always messing up my glasses. So it's nice to know I can get a new pair every year. And again, something like an MOT, a man of my age, is something I need to do, something I need to have a look at, make sure that I'm on top of, because you can identify those little things and solve them before they become bigger issues. And I just value that a huge amount. So those little cash options of having access to dentistry, having access to optical, the health screening, it's not something that we think about. And interestingly enough, when you actually put your premium against the cash back that you get back, it just changes that whole equation so quickly, because you suddenly go from, well, it's costing me £1,500 a year to have private medical insurance, but I'm getting £800 back on stuff that I was spending money on. So suddenly I go, well, okay, that just changes that whole equation. And that's a really underspoken and underserved area, is that there are these cash benefits that you can get back.
It puts it all into perspective, doesn't it, really? And you can't really put a value or a price on your own healthcare, can you?
No,
So,
I mean, I know last year the biggest claim that we paid out on was a cancer claim, which was 1.2 million. So at the end of the
1.2
day,
million.
yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's about really having those. When we started the conversation about having those choices and having that ability to be able to choose who you go to, when you go to them, and how things happen. Because for me, honestly, that is a fundamental right. I want to have control over my health. I want to have control over the decision making of my health. So I want to be able to choose who I go to, why I'm going to them, and when I go to them, most importantly, and not when it suits somebody else's timetable. When I'm not feeling well, you want to get looked after when you're not
You
feeling
do.
well immediately.
You
So,
definitely do. And even just for that peace of mind, really.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, WPA, they're not just focused on private healthcare, but they're very community focused as well. So, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to work with loads of charities. One of the charities we work with is Emily's Gift, Julie Kent from Emily's Gift. What an awesome lady. So we are helping fundraise at the moment with the oncology unit at Emily Kent Ward at Gloucester Royal Hospital. So we're helping with that. So anybody that does purchase a policy from us, there's a donation made in their name
Oh, wow.
to Emily's Gift, which we absolutely love the association. But we also, because we're so community orientated, we have a benevolent fund that allows schools to apply for up to about £2,500 per school for sport related activity, for health related activities. So whether it's football kits or netball kits or putting lines on a field or all of those sorts of things, anything that's health or play related, we have a fund which is available to look after them. So we had a recent conversation with the Worcester City Football Club, and we've working very closely with them, an amazing football club in the heart of Worcester. And we deal with Rob and Carl, the two managing directors of SJL insurance company that also look after the football club. Amazing guys. And we've worked with them on the basis that we're going to help. They're going to provide the coaching and all the rest of it, and bring the coaching into the schools where the schools maybe coaching has been a bit underserved. So we've got this really amazing initiative with the Worcester City Football Club, where we're actually going into schools, empowering the coaching and all of that really professionalism that's brought from Worcester City Football Club is just kind of coming through into the schools. It's a new thing. We're still kind of just getting everything kicked off, but we're really excited about it. And I think, between Rob and Carl and myself and Graham and Glenn, we are so excited to be involved in that project, and we're really looking forward to making a big difference. And then hopefully also helping Worcester City Football Club become a real mecca of our community again, as in terms of footballing ability.
I'm so excited as well to hear that. I think that's absolutely amazing. So I've got a whole long list of schools that I'll be putting you in touch with to help them. But I think that's absolutely amazing and such a worthwhile thing as well to do.
Yeah, I must admit, we take a lot of our. It's an absolute privilege, if I can put it that way, to work with
Yeah.
those schools, to be involved in your community. And again, like I said earlier, that's what we're about. We are about being involved in our communities. We're going to be seen in our communities and known to our communities so we can serve that community.
And do you work with any school then, Luke, in terms
Yeah.
of that? Yeah.
So as long as it's a state school, and if they've got an initiative that they want to have a conversation around, we'd love it if they reached out and got in touch with us.
Awesome. So, all schools out there listening, you know where to get in touch. So, thank you so much, Luke. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. And I don't know about you folks listening to this, but I realise now just how important private healthcare insurance is. I'm not sure where we'd be without it, to be honest with you. So, thank you so much for explaining everything to us, and we'll see you soon. If you want to find out more about WPA or you want to connect with Luke Townsend, then his details will be in the bio under the podcast. Thank you so much, Luke. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, Julia.